Johnny Carson utterly hated Dean Martin. Now we know why. They smiled for the cameras. They exchanged pleasantries on air. To millions of American viewers, Johnny Carson and Dean Martin seemed like Hollywood royalty who shared mutual respect and camaraderie. But behind that perfectly crafted television facade lurked one of entertainment's most surprising feuds. A deep, genuine animosity that Carson harbored toward Martin for decades. While the king of late night was famous for his genial demeanor and seemingly effortless rapport with celebrities, his true feelings about the legendary crooner were anything but warm. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on this hidden Hollywood rivalry to reveal why television's most charming host utterly despised one of America's most beloved entertainers. The contrast between their public interactions and Carson's private disdain offers a fascinating glimpse into the complex personalities behind these iconic figures and the unbridgeable gulf between their professional values that eventually led to one of Carson's rare lifetime bans from The Tonight Show. The truth behind this Cold War of comedy legends reveals not just a clash of personalities, but a fundamental difference in how these two giants approached their craft and why Carson ultimately couldn't forgive what he saw as Martin's cardinal sins against entertainment itself. To understand the depth of Carson's animosity toward Martin, we need to recognize how completely different these men were, despite their similar positions at the pinnacle of entertainment. Johnny Carson built his career on meticulous preparation, split-second timing, and a relentless work ethic that transformed The Tonight Show into television's most prestigious platform. He viewed his role as both an art and a craft deserving of serious dedication. Dean Martin, on the other hand, cultivated an image of effortless charm, the ultimate cool guy who could captivate audiences without seeming to try. His apparent indifference to preparation was central to his appeal, creating an aura of casual brilliance that audiences found irresistible. When these opposing philosophies collided in late-night television's most important arena, the result was a simmering resentment that Carson rarely displayed on air, but that insiders witnessed firsthand. Let's explore the 6 key reasons why television's most affable host harbored such profound disdain for the man known as the King of Cool. Thanks. I didn't go to many shows, and I appreciate this. No, but I don't like many shows. Can I guess? 1. Dean showed up drunk every time? For Johnny Carson, The Tonight Show represented the culmination of television craft, a finely tuned machine where timing, preparation, and professionalism created the illusion of effortless entertainment. Every detail mattered in Carson's world, from the precise length of his monologue to the carefully orchestrated rhythm of guest interviews. This meticulous approach had transformed a simple talk show into an American institution that could make or break careers with a single appearance. Dean Martin represented everything that contradicted Carson's philosophy of entertainment. While Carson built his reputation on reliability and consistency, Martin embraced unpredictability and apparent spontaneity. But what particularly infuriated Carson was Martin's habit of arriving at The Tonight Show in various states of intoxication, or at least performing a convincing imitation of it. During the 1960s and early 1970s, Martin appeared on The Tonight Show multiple times, almost always projecting his famous drunk persona, slurring words slightly, occasionally losing his train of thought, and treating the interview as if it were an impromptu conversation at a cocktail party rather than a broadcasted television segment with millions of viewers. What viewers at home found charming, Martin's relaxed demeanor and seemingly unfiltered comments, Carson viewed as deeply disrespectful to the craft of television. According to multiple Tonight Show writers and producers, Carson would maintain his professional demeanor during these interviews, but would express his frustration immediately after cameras stopped rolling. Johnny valued precision and comedy above almost everything else, recalled one longtime Tonight Show writer. He believed that making something difficult look easy required incredible discipline. Dean's whole act was pretending that discipline didn't matter at all. It drove Johnny crazy. The breaking point came during a 1976 appearance when Martin's condition appeared to cross the line from his usual tipsy character to genuine impairment. According to staff members present that night, Martin repeatedly lost his place mid-anecdote, laughed inexplicably at comments that weren't intended as jokes, and at one point seemed to momentarily forget where he was. Carson, ever the professional, managed the segment without obvious irritation, but backstage afterward, he allegedly made his feelings crystal clear to his producer. "I don't care if it's an act. If you can't finish a sentence, you're not doing comedy. You're killing airtime." This quote, reported by several staffers, who worked on the show during that period, perfectly encapsulated Carson's fundamental issue with Martin. To Carson, comedy was a precision craft requiring perfect execution. To Martin, it was an attitude, a vibe, an aura of casual coolness that didn't need to follow the rules of conventional performance. After this appearance, Martin's invitations to The Tonight Show became noticeably less frequent, the first indication that Carson's private frustration was beginning to influence his booking decisions. It wasn't yet a ban, but it marked the beginning of a cooling period that would eventually lead to Martin's complete absence from the show. What made this particularly significant was Carson's usual tolerance for celebrities with drinking issues. Stars like Dean Martin, Richard Burton, and Peter O'Toole were known for their alcohol consumption, but Carson typically accommodated their behavior as long as they remained professional and entertaining. Martin crossed a line in Carson's mind by seemingly using alcohol, real or pretended, as a substitute for preparation, an unforgivable sin to television's most prepared performer. I am. What a show. Boy. This is it, huh? This is too. Dean never took interviews seriously. Beyond Martin's apparent intoxication, what truly irritated Carson was the singer's approach to the fundamental purpose of a talk show: conversation. The Tonight Show's success rested largely on Carson's extraordinary skill as an interviewer. His ability to guide conversations, react in the moment, and make guests look their best through carefully crafted questions and genuine listening. This craft was something Carson took extremely seriously. Despite his seemingly casual demeanor, Carson prepared extensively for interviews, reviewing research compiled by his staff and developing potential conversation threads that would showcase each guest effectively. He viewed the interview segment not as a casual chat, but as a collaborative performance with clearly defined roles. Martin, however, approached Tonight Show interviews with the same casual indifference that characterized his broader public persona. According to multiple producers who worked with both men, Martin rarely bothered with pre-interview discussions, often arriving moments before his segment without any preparation for topics Carson planned to cover. Once on air, Martin's interview style frustrated Carson in several specific ways that industry insiders identified as particular pet peeves of the host. Martin was notorious for giving one-word answers to carefully crafted questions, forcing Carson to work doubly hard to maintain conversation flow. He would frequently interrupt Carson's setups before the host could reach the actual question. Perhaps most irritatingly, Martin often ignored questions entirely, instead launching into unrelated anecdotes that derailed the interview's intended direction. Johnny hated guests who made the host do all the work, and Dean was the worst offender, recalled a former Tonight Show talent coordinator. Most guests understood that their job was to meet the host halfway in creating good television. Dean acted like he was doing Johnny a favor just by showing up. This approach created visibly awkward moments during their on-air interactions. In one particularly notable 1974 appearance, Carson attempted to discuss Martin's successful television variety show, asking a specific question about a recent Frank Sinatra guest appearance. Rather than answering, Martin smiled vaguely and began discussing a completely unrelated golf tournament he'd recently attended. Carson's momentary expression, a brief flash of genuine annoyance before his professional mask returned, was caught by cameras and noted by viewers unaccustomed to seeing the host's composure slip. For Carson, this behavior represented not just personal disrespect, but a fundamental misunderstanding of the talk show format itself. A Tonight Show appearance wasn't just publicity, it was a performance with its own craft and standards. By treating interviews as unimportant afterthoughts, Martin communicated that he didn't value the form Carson had spent his career perfecting. The contrast became particularly stark when compared with other entertainment veterans Carson admired. Performers like James Stewart, Bette Davis, and Jack Benny, all contemporaries of Martin, approached Tonight Show appearances with thorough professionalism, respecting the medium and collaborating with Carson to create memorable television moments. Their preparation and engagement highlighted Martin's indifference by comparison. According to staff who worked closely with Carson during this period, Martin's casual approach to interviews ranked among the host's most significant professional irritants. While viewers might perceive Martin's behavior as refreshingly authentic compared to the carefully managed appearances of other celebrities, Carson saw it as borderline unprofessional, a sentiment he expressed privately